Is Jeremy Corbyn the man who'll make you feel like you've come home to Labour?
No, not me personally, but I do think that he represents a real strain in the party. He represents the party, or what used to be called old Labour, or certainly the ideals that were to some extent swept away by Tony Blair. I'm thinking about particularly the dropping of Clause 4 from the Labour Party constitution. I'm thinking particularly about the disengagement from the unions, and of course it's significant that so many unions have come out for Corbyn. And I'm thinking, you know, and the move towards the idea of one member, one vote, and the kind of reduction of union power. It's not that I think that Jeremy Corbyn's such a great thing, or that he'd be a great leader of the Labour Party, or that he'd be a great Prime Minister. It's that he does articulate some of the core values of the left.
But the criticism of him, of course, is that, you know, this is just about protest and that he will make the Labour Party unelectable. So is this a protest for you?
The point about contemporary British politics is that our voting system no longer adequately represents the diversity of political opinion, either in the Labour Party or the Tory Party. The Labour Party needs to split, and so do the Tories.
John Mcternan, the CWU backed Jeremy Corbyn today, saying Blairites, like you, are the virus and Jeremy Corbyn is the antidote.
Well, I don't think there's anybody who's backing Jeremy Corbyn who seriously believes that he is the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, has the potential to be the Prime Minister. In the end, what the unions need, what workers need, what the country needs, is a Labour government, because only a Labour government can make change. And that's the fundamental paradox at the heart of the support for Jeremy Corbyn. He's not supported by people who think he can be Prime Minister, and yet politics, in the end, is about winning power and using that power to do things like bring in a national minimum wage or to bring in civil partnerships.
But if the momentum continues, he will win.
I personally don't believe he will win. I don't think the unions don't have a huge sway over the members. They can't tell the members what to do. Other unions like USDA have backed Andy Burnham. I think party members hated the election result for good reason. There's a Tory government and more than half of the voters in the country voted for right-wing parties. And Labour Party members want to see a Labour government again.
But are you saying that people like Will, people within the Labour Party who have nominated Jeremy Corbyn, who are clearly supporting Jeremy Corbyn, don't really know what they want?
No, I think people do know what they want. I think the party will choose a leader who is a potential Prime Minister. I think people who are backing Jeremy Corbyn are giving a free ride for some ideas which are not only unelectable, they're quite dangerous, like withdrawing from NATO. I think that's, you know, no party could have a policy withdrawing from NATO and actually be elected in Britain.
Well, I think, you know, those who don't remember their history are doomed to repeat it to some extent. And I think that the problem for people like John is they don't really remember what the regime they supported was like under Blair. And they don't really remember what was done. You know, the point is the Labour Party is too broad a church at the moment. On the right wing, you have people who are effectively neoliberals. You had effectively economic policies that went completely against any canon of socialism. And on the left wing, you have unreconstructed, in some cases, entryist Marxists. So how are you going to bridge that gap? The problem with our political system is that we do not have a voting system that adequately articulates people's views.
So what, in essence...
And it's no good people like John saying, oh, no, politics is about winning power. That's a political class point, and that's precisely what the supporters of Corbyn are objecting to. They're objecting to this philosophy that it doesn't matter, cleave to the middle ground, win power, then we'll do good stuff.
But do you agree with him that actually this is not about voting for Jeremy Corbyn to become leader, to become Prime Minister?
I think the people who are voting for Jeremy Corbyn and who have affiliated, and they're not like me, I'm doing it slightly cynically, and I'm also very interested in the London mayoral race, which my new position as a Labour Party supporter allows me to come in on. I think a lot of people who are backing Corbyn are young. And what young people see is that there's a great spreading, middle-aged back end sitting on our politics and our economics at the moment, and they want to readjust things around.
You know, you've been really vociferous critics, some would say very rude, about Mr Corbyn and his supporters. You know, isn't that part of the problem? Doesn't that make people rush to Corbyn just because they think they're being patronised?
I've got a very strong voice and a very strong voice in my journalism. I don't believe I affect a single vote. in that. I'm not arrogant enough to believe that I'm shifting votes in the Labour Party.
Clearly
I care passionately about the Labour Party, and I do think if you're in a political party, the point of that is to gain power, to make social change. And the last Labour government achieved immense things. Will just talked about what young people want. One of the needs in Britain is for a better housing policy. You can only bring in a better housing policy if you actually get elected.
I mean, that is the brutal truth of it, isn't it? That you need power to affect change.
Well, I'd like to see
and the protest can be pointless.
I'd like to see a Labour Party that was honest about what the problems are in our political system that are preventing the articulation of people's opinions and making people feel like they can't be bothered.
But the Labour
which is why we have incredibly low turnouts for elections from the young. Now, the young have got on the Corbyn bandwagon because they see somebody who's prepared to attack that. You know, John, for all his virtues, represents a kind of Blairite legacy, and particularly over things like Iraq, that people are still very, very upset about. And he's very unrepentant about that, and that's not really a very good position.
Last word, if it's one word.
You have to win to make change. We need a leader in the Labour Party who can win.
John Mcternan, Will Self, thank you very much.